Hey everybody, this is Modern Refugee, having my coffee with you guys here this morning. This is actually my Upper Peninsula coffee mug. I actually bought this at the Yoopers Tourist Trap in Ishpeming, Michigan back about, 2006, 2007, something like that. If you ever get a chance to be in the Marquette area and you got a little free time, go into the Yoopers Tourist Trap. You can't miss it. It's got a gigantic chainsaw sitting out in front of it, but good times there. But anyway, today is the 24th of November, Sunday morning, and thought I'd have a little chat with you guys. Got a fire going in my wood stove here this morning. Talk about some common SHTFs that happen pretty much daily to people all over the place, and they happened to me, and it's related back to that surgery that I had 2 years ago. And those two common SHTFs, and I'm going to talk about them here, tell you about my problems a little bit here, but then I'm going to, talk about the solutions and things to mitigate those problems. Medical problems and economic problems, they go hand in hand. They're like this, because if you have one, you might have another. There's been different times where I know people that have had medical problems and then it caused financial problems. And I know people that had financial problems and then because of the stress and everything of that situation, they developed medical problems. So the two are in a deadly dance with one another. And, well, we can talk about all the stuff that's going on around the world. Those everyday things, they're really the things that, that can get us. I was talking to my cousin years ago, and I was actually flying out to see him. And I was telling him that I had a fair amount of anxiety about flying out there. And he said to me, he goes, I'm going to tell you something. He said, the most dangerous thing that you're going to do that day that you fly out here to see me is get in the car and drive to the airport. Now, I don't normally think of things like that. I think of more catastrophic things, like with the airline or whatever. And that's exactly what he told me. And what? He was right. Statistically, you're more likely to get in a car accident driving down the road than you are to be in some type of problem with an airplane crashing, because airplane crashes, don't happen every day, but car accidents do. So, it was one of those things that I was told over the years that kind of changed my mindset in looking at mitigating, the common problems that happen to everybody. And that's kind of what I'm sharing with you guys here. I've had a bunch of medical tests in the last couple of days for problems that I had both in the past, but the one that's got to get taken care of first is related back to my surgery that I had 2 years ago. I had a sigmoid colectomy, and I had a section of my bowel removed and resectioned because I got a bad infection from diverticulitis that I basically didn't know that I had. And it was a complicated case, and I spent a week in the hospital. I was on a liquid diet for about 4 to 6 weeks, and then I had surgery afterward, and I had about a month's recovery time after that. Well, one of the common complications of that surgery down the road, because they cut a hole in your abdominal wall, is a hernia. And somehow, unbeknownst to me, I don't know how it happened, that incision ruptured, and I have what's called now an incisional hernia. And it's an incisional hernia that the medical term is incarcerated, which means it can't go back in to my abdomen. It's kind of stuck in the abdominal wall. And when I started having symptoms, I went to the ER, and they were afraid that it was a loop of my bowel that went in to that hernia opening, which is a life-threatening condition. That is something that's considered an emergency surgery, and that's what they thought it was when I first went in. Well, they gave me a contrast CAT scan, and the doctor came in. He says, well, I got good news and bad news. He said, the bad news is you got a hernia. He said, the good news is, he says, it's not your bowel, so, you're going to have to get a hold of the surgeons, hear some numbers, and see if they can get that fixed as soon as possible. His exact words was, is this needs to get taken care of sooner rather than later. So that's what my job is this week, is to get that squared away. So, when these things happen, these medical problems, medical is the most common SHTF that can happen. Things can happen out of the blue. Things just develop. And as you get older, more and more of these type of things pop up. And there's a lot of things that you can do, stay active, diet, all that kind of stuff that helps this stuff. But still, as we age, things happen. I've known people that were the most fit human beings you ever seen in your life die of a heart attack. It just doesn't, these things happen. These things happen on a day-to-day basis. And they're things that I think if you're into preparedness and you're into prepping, you need to, have your bases covered on this. Now, what am I going to do? Well, I can't really lift anything right now. I'm going to have to take a little bit of time to get this scheduled. Hopefully, I can get it scheduled sooner rather than later, like they said. And hopefully the recovery time isn't going to be too bad, because it could be a lot worse than what it is, but it still has to be fixed. So then, when you're laid up, you can't go out and make money. So then one of the main things that I don't think gets talked about a lot with the prepping channels is having multiple revenue streams. Have multiple ways where you can get a little bit of income to keep you going. And then two, have everything squared away. Have your bills paid up. Don't let things go too far into past due, because now, if something happens, all my bills are paid. So if I can't pay a bill for 6 weeks or something, I'm not going to be delinquent in paying stuff, because I was already delinquent when this medical thing happened. So that's a really easy thing that pretty much everybody can, strive to do. Have a little bit of savings. Have your pantry full. It's the good time of year here. It's fall. Our pantry is as full as it gets throughout the year. Typically, October, November, December is when we have our pantry at the fullest. Our freezers are full, so there's no problem with that there. Another thing, I actually have a separate insurance policy that I have that's basically like a short-term disability that's good for 6 months. So if I have some type of medical problem like I got right now and I can't work, so if I can't, work out something with my employer that I can't, that I can work at a limited basis or whatever, I can fall back on that short-term disability policy that I had put aside for, instances just like this. And these are things that have all come up, through the years. Any type of alternate revenue stream, if you're getting your paycheck from multiple different places, if you have different, side things that you do or whatever, any little side gig that you can do to make a little bit of extra money, even if it's just, $75 or $100, makes up for a lot of stuff if you're, laid up. Because when you're laid up, you're not going to go out and buy new cars. You're not going to make large purchases and stuff like that. So, if you stop spending money and you kind of contract, rely on your pantry, you're not driving places, so you're not putting gas in your car, you're not putting wear and tear on your vehicle, you're just kind of, sticking around the homestead while you're recuperating, you're not spending a lot of money. So then if you're getting a little bit of money in from a separate revenue stream, you can, $75, $100 here or there, that covers some of the things like, your utility bills and that kind of stuff, and it makes up for it. And you should always be ready for some type of medical problem. And, I did a medical, kind of medical bug out bag video back when I had my surgery a couple years ago, because I was basically woefully unprepared at that time to be laid up in the hospital for a week. I was put in the hospital for a week. I had never been hospitalized up till that point. So here I'm found myself in a hospital, literally 100 miles away from where I live, big city hospital with literally nothing. Here I am. I'm in a hospital, can't eat nothing. I got IVs in both arms. And I'm like, wow, I didn't have the things that, would have made my life a little bit more comfortable. So I told my wife, bring me this, and this. Well, when I got home and I kind of got things squared away, one of the things that I did was I took a little mesh bag and I put some, sweatpants and some shorts and some underwear, some t-shirts, charging pack, charging cord, that kind of stuff. I put in a, basic toiletries, that kind of stuff, deodorant, soap, toothbrush, that kind of stuff. I put in a little bag that if I ever have to go to the hospital again, or I have some severe medical thing, my wife can just grab that off the shelf and bring that to me. Or if I know I'm going to the ER or something, I can grab that bag and I can take that with me. And I'll put a link in the description for that video for you guys too, if you haven't seen that. But, the common things, I know there's all kinds of stuff going on over in Europe. There's the threat of World War III, and there's escalation. There's talk of, nuclear exchanges. There's, fiber optic stuff, and there's undersea cables that are being cut. There's always issues with the supply chain that we have to keep our eyes on. And these are all, kind of big picture items that can affect us. But you know what? That stuff is all going on. But man, those day-to-day things, you got to concentrate on what's right directly in front of you. Try to mitigate those things because statistically they're a lot more common, the problems that you're going to have to deal with than those big picture items. Now, I'm not saying not to keep an eye on those big picture items, not whatsoever, but everything that you do for the small stuff, like, having a loss of income because of a medical incident or loss of a job, or, the contraction of the economy, those medical problems, all those preps that you put in place for that type of stuff are going to be good for the big things too, if they happen. So, keep those things in mind. Like I said, it's just something I want to have a little chat with you guys here on a Sunday morning, because it's, it's my life here, and that's what I share with you guys, because I think that the things that I'm talking about here, can benefit other people. They can get their mindset looking at some of these other more common things, and again having some mitigation in place for that stuff. But anyway, just enjoying my coffee with you guys here today with my my Youpers tourist trap coffee mug while I'm starting a fire. But anyway, you guys have a good one today. This is Modern Refugee. Appreciate all my subscribers out there. Always hope that you guys are doing well out there, and I always hope that my videos are beneficial and help you guys look at preparedness from a different light. You guys have a good one.